Welcome, everybody. We will get started here in a couple minutes, just waiting for a few others to join. So thank you for coming into the meeting. All right, well, thank you, everybody, for coming out for the OpenShift on-prem webinar presented to you by Crossvale and Red Hat. So big shout out to Red Hat for sponsoring this event with us today as we talk about one of Red Hat's flagship products and some of the complexities of running it on-prem and how to simplify that. So my name is Todd Millard. I am the CEO at Crossvale, and we're going to talk about how to be zero to confident in days, not months. So first, we'll talk a little bit about who we are. I'll just spend a minute on this. We're here as a Red Hat partner that has many awards and accolades. So we're here to talk about this because OpenShift is one of the few things that we do, and we do it exceptionally well, and we've been doing it for years. So we are a boutique consulting organization that spans EMEA and North America, and we don't do everything for everybody, but what we do is containerization, automation, and app modernization. And a lot of that is done on the Red Hat platform. So 22 years in business, 24/7 service and support capabilities and offices in Dallas, Belfast, and Spain. Glad to be here, and we'll start talking through our insights here. So the agenda that we're going to walk through today is why containers are a must-have, the overview of on-prem OpenShift, why do it yourself is hard, and simplifying the problem. If you have any questions throughout this, please use the chat and we'll walk through some questions in the end if there's anything that you have some questions about. So why containers are a must. Understanding the problem, container competency is not optional. So why this is not optional at this point is, we're in the early majority part of the container adoption phase of this technology. And we take a look at the early adopters that had come in, very technically savvy, understand the value of moving away from legacy methods of deploying applications and moving to containers because they understand the efficiencies that they can get out of containers in many different aspects, not only from the infrastructure, but also from how the app dev team can capitalize on container and CI/CD and better security, all the different things that come along with moving to containerized applications. But now we're starting to see the COTS providers, the commercial off-the-shelf software companies out there that understand this, and they're moving to a phase where they're containerizing their solution that they're selling to the enterprises across the world. So some of you may be consuming some of these commercial off-the-shelf software as a critical part of the workloads that you're running in your enterprise. And so it's not optional anymore because you will have to learn how to orchestrate containers. So kind of how we've seen this work over the years is first these COTS providers go out there and build their solution in a container and then offer it to you in both containers, and you could deploy in the legacy method through deploying a VM and scaling VMs or any other method that they may have out there. But as they move into containers and they now have this available, and here's a few out there that we've just put up here that have containerized their solution and made it available. The first step is you get it available, and then they end of life that solution. So what ends up happening is their customers will start to move into containers. Some will do it early, some will do it later. But as more and more start to adopt the containers, their goal is to move only to a container delivery. You may ask the reason why. And the reason why is for them, operationally, it is much cheaper for them to maintain all the dependencies inside containers that they deliver to you, rather than having to deal with support of many different types of dependencies that many organizations could be deploying into. So it reduces their cost, which they can either pass that cost on, that savings on to their clients and become way more competitive in the market, or this becomes more margin for them. So either way, it is a must do that every one of these COTS providers will move to. And what we're seeing is some are building SaaS solutions. So they're going, hey, by the way, what you were consuming on-prem or what you were consuming in the cloud with your self-service deployments, you could now go and buy this from us from a SaaS version of the product, or if you want to then continue deploying this on your own and managing it on your own, you're going to have to take it in a container. So that starts you thinking about, do I want to have my data now being served inside somebody else's organization and sitting inside that SaaS solution, or do I still want to retain that data where where we can make best use of this? And this is why today we're talking about on-prem containerization. Because there's a lot of options out there. If you want to go to the cloud, there's options that you can go EKS, you can go AKS, you can get ARO, ROSA, many different cloud options out there. Now, even with the cloud options, there's obviously some work that has to be done around those cloud options to be able to make them enterprise ready and operationalized and meet your security and governance model. But when it comes to on-prem, the issue that it comes down to is that you need to build up your own skills, or some are hiring consultants to come in and use consultants for those skills. And I want to talk to you about kind of some of the complexities there, and then also a solution that you can do this with less risk and less cost, but still run what you need in your data center rather than having to force yourself into a SaaS solution or move to the cloud because it just becomes convenient. Containerization growth rate. So as we were talking about, more and more COTS providers are out there containerizing their application. This is not only are the COTS providers containerizing them and delivering them, but also enterprise teams that are building applications for their own enterprises are also containerizing them. And we take a look at where we're at in 2023, and then where the projected market is going over the next 7 years. And you can see massive growth in this area that is driving containerization. So if you're not competent in container orchestration today, this is something that must be on your roadmap. You must have a strategy to get there, because you will at some point be forced into being competent in there, whether it is your own applications trying to get the efficiency out of that so your competitors don't beat you because they're able to update things faster and make changes in the application, or whether it is a critical solution that you're using from a COTS provider. A perfect example of this is IBM Maximo. IBM Maximo released that by September 2025, you must be running on OpenShift. And so, but to go off of 7.6.1 and move to the new version of 8, they've actually now provide what's called IBM Maximo Application Suite, which they're providing more functionality. So not only do you move to the new version and move to the containerization and run it on OpenShift, where you can gain efficiencies in your infrastructure as well as efficiencies in how that is managed, but you also are getting more features. And so more and more organizations will do this same type of thing, where the features are going to be tied to you moving to the new containerized version. So to be able to stay up with what's going on in the market and with the features that are being released and with how organizations are driving the adoption of containers, again, it is not optional. When we look here, you will have to find a way to become container competent. And there's many ways to do this. Now let's talk about overview of on-prem OpenShift. So OpenShift obviously is one of the distributions that's available out there. And if you're looking for a enterprise solution around containerization, OpenShift is by far the best one that you can get out there, because Red Hat has done an exceptional job, and there could be a whole, there's whole entire webinars just talking about the features of OpenShift, but done an exceptional job to put all the projects and pieces together that provide you with what you need to run a container orchestration platform, Kubernetes-based container orchestration platform, for your enterprise that can meet your governance and security and easily operationalize it. But there's still work that needs to go along with it, even though it has the most features and it can support developers and self-service the best in support COTS. You still have to do work after you deploy this. So obviously OpenShift can be, if you're trying to keep it in your data center, you can choose different ways to deploy it. Bare metal, you can deploy it on OpenStack, you can deploy it on Red Hat virtualization, VMware. So there's a lot of different options here, as well as deploying in the cloud. Whether you're deploying on EC2 instances or using a SaaS solution out there, there's a lot of different options that are available for you, and trying to pick the option that works best for your particular workloads and your COTS solution you may be trying to containerize. Takes a little bit of work to understand what you're trying to accomplish. There's different ways that OpenShift is deployed as well. Red Hat's done an exceptional job at creating automation around deploying OpenShift into certain environments. They have an IPI install that you just basically put in some parameters and it will go out there and handle the building of the clusters for you. And then there's also user-defined provisioning, where you manually go in there and define the installation because you have some complexity in your environment that you're trying to solve for. After you get the IPI install done, there's still a number of things that you'll have to do on-prem to be able to integrate this into your organization. And so at Crossvale, we've been doing this for many years, and so we have a platform implementation, what we call our platform implementation depot, which is design, enable, prepare, operationalize, and tune to meet your workload needs. And so what we've done is we have a prescriptive approach around shift basics for COTS. So this is for use cases where you're going to run critical workloads from a COTS provider inside your data center. We have a prescription approach to handle that. Shift mastery for developers. So if you're bringing in OpenShift to run in your data center and you have development that you're doing on this, and you need to meet the needs of your application developers and want to have self-service and all these great capabilities that OpenShift has in relation to developers, we have what we call our shift mastery for developers, which is a standard prescriptive approach to get you to where you need to be so that you can actually operate that environment. And then also for I'm sorry, I have a spelling error on here. This is supposed to say shift mastery for data science, not data centers. So if your use case is around running Open Data Hub in your own data center, we have also a solution around building that for you. But when it comes to the complexity of making choices around what you need to do to be able to get the most out of the platform, after a standard install, having a architect, somebody that has worked with many different applications and COTS solutions, and how to properly tune this and make some choices so that you get what you need, especially in when you think about like networking and storage and other components out there, that you make the right choices for your particular workload. So if we take a look at, your workload today may be read-write only, maybe it's read-write mini. So there's different choices that you would make around how to actually implement that on OpenShift in a way to get the most performance out of that. And Red Hat actually has some solutions around that actually are completely tied into OpenShift. And then there's also some other solution providers out there that tie into OpenShift to be able to help accelerate that. When it comes to networking, there's many different choices to make around networking, not only the networking of getting the data to your clusters, but also pod to pod internal networking, how to deal with the way that the information is exchanged inside your clusters, and how to deal with the quotas and tuning of how that data runs around inside your cluster. There's standard models out there of how this stuff is built, but everything has to be really tuned into what your particular workloads need, and as your workloads change, how to dynamically tune those. The insight that we've seen is many people build clusters for a particular workload that is their initial use case. Maybe they hire a consultant, or they have some team members that then analyze that use case. They build models around how to operationalize and solve for that particular use case. And then as the workloads change, they don't really dynamically change the cluster to fit the new workloads, which they then end up scaling the cluster in a way that's not as efficient. And the whole reason to go to containerization is to get the efficiencies out of your infrastructure, as well as out of the way that you're able to make changes in those clusters. So dynamically tuning is a really clear thing that you need to be able to understand, and your people need to be able to make decisions on the fly on how to dynamically tune your cluster, rather than just making static decisions off a checklist. So if you've implemented other platforms in the past and then had a checklist that you were kind of working off of to be able to validate the operationalization of it, this is something where you're going to need to go a little beyond that when it comes to containerization. On-prem deployment, a case study. So when we think about, like, over the years, we have deployed many different solutions on OpenShift. And we've done many different platform implementations. So I think of one that we recently did, where it was at a bank. It was an air-gapped installation, massive compliance requirements around several different clusters that had to meet different compliance requirements, as well as a security team that was super strict on their governance, that was not well designed to fit with OpenShift. These types of installations are doable. It is something that, with a team of experts that have done these types of installations in the past, decisions can be made that can help make sure that your Kubernetes environment, your OpenShift environment, is going to be able to meet your needs, and meet your needs in a way that operationally it is not difficult to maintain. But it takes experts that have done this many times before to be able to help make those decisions, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So don't let the complexity deter you. The value of what you get out of OpenShift and Kubernetes, once you have made the decisions and you've had it deployed and you have a compliant environment, starts to bring huge return on investment. The auto healing, the auto scaling, the reduced downtime and increased redundancy, faster time to market for your features, increased density and increased security. Well-designed clusters start to give you all of this and simplify the complexity of your IT operations, and simplify the complexity of making business changes in your IT, making changes in your applications, or updating COTS solutions to stay compliant and stay secure. Simplifies all this. Now, getting from where you're at today to where you need to be, so you gain all of that value, it takes a little bit of energy and time, and using experts to help you can get you there very quickly. So why is DIY hard? So first of all, limited resources. So out there in the marketplace, if you've been out there recruiting for these types of resources, it's hard to find. It's hard to find resources that understand not only containerization but also understand the complexities of all the different projects for OpenShift. So this leaves you with, do I take current resources that are very smart and retrain them? And many do that, where they retrain them, but then you have kind of that learning curve where they don't have the experience to understand problems that you're not going to find in the book, and you're not confident yet in running your critical workloads. The lack of technical expertise, often when moving to a new platform, finding an organization that understands the platform very well will help you overcome that. Operational complexity, OpenShift, out of all the Kubernetes solutions out there, is going to be operationally the one that is easiest to operate. But that still doesn't mean that it manages itself. You still have to have a subject matter expert that understands how to make dynamic decisions on whether you're running it all on-prem or in the cloud or hybrid. There's still operational complexity as you move to this new abstraction layer of containerization. Integration with existing systems. So obviously this is an important aspect of it that is a bespoke portion of this, where everybody's made different decisions on the different types of systems, and everybody has different goals, and everybody has different solutions they're using. And how do we now integrate all this together in a way that you're going to get the full value out of OpenShift? This becomes complex when you have all of these people that are trying to manage this with different goals. Scalability concerns, security, migration issues, and change management. Having a team that understands how to make decisions around these and how to mentor your team to make these decisions will help you very quickly get up to speed to be able to solve these problems. Having a prescriptive approach to start from also accelerates your time to be able to get the value out of clusters, rather than waiting until you get to that confidence level. And the reason why this is complex is OpenShift has done an exceptional job at bringing together all of these projects and maintaining and supporting these projects for you. If you were to go out there and find a Kubernetes distribution that is less complete, often you'll have to bring these projects in, or something similar, or a competing type of project, and support that stuff on your own and integrate that stuff on your own, where OpenShift has done an exceptional job at going, these are the things that is going to create a complete solution with all these projects. The downside of that also is then you need to have subject matter experts that understand these projects to get the full value out of it. You need to know how to use these projects in a way to squeeze the value that you're looking for out of moving to containerization. And that's complex in today's world, because budgets aren't there that where you can go out there, you can just hire a whole bunch of different resources that have different skill sets. It is how do you get there and not break the bank on building up the skill sets, and finding a solution provider that can help augment these skill sets for you makes a big difference in gaining your ROI. So let's simplify the problem. So we talked about running it on-prem, some of the complexities of actually the implementation, learning it, having lack of resources and skills. And this is common across the board for any type of platform. So this is not, hey, OpenShift has all this complexity. Anytime you're moving to a new platform, these are common issues that you run into. But the issue also on top of that is moving into a dynamic environment where you can't point at a server and go, oh, I know exactly what's running in that server. It's a cluster of servers with stuff that's moving around inside those servers from the OpenShift pods. So what we've done is we've teamed up with Red Hat, and we have PodOps Pro for OpenShift, which is a solution to help you not only maintain your OpenShift clusters, but help you grow your OpenShift clusters. If you go out there and you take a look at what, hold on, let me look at my slides here. Let me skip forward to, if you go out there and you take a look at let's say a managed service. So what managed service providers provide you out there? They're providing a cluster maintenance. So where you come in, they're going to maintain the cluster. You have problems with the workload, they're going to look at the cluster and go, yeah, hey, cluster's up and running, it's healthy, it's something on your end. Where what Crossvale is bringing to the table with PodOps is a complete platform engineering service, which means now we're going to support the platform and then help you understand how your workloads are going to perform and then how to onboard workloads. So we're bringing to the table telemetry and proactive automation, but also building custom telemetry to meet your custom needs. Workload onboarding. So we're the ones that are supporting your application teams or your COTS teams to be able to onboard those applications and understand how the cluster is going to perform with those. Dynamic tuning, as things are changing in your environment, to be able to understand how to tune your environment so you can get the most out of that environment, as well as get the performance out of your applications. And then also mentoring of the team. So when we come in and by the time we leave, your team now understands how to dynamically make changes in the cluster rather than you counting on somebody else to have to do that for you. So what this includes is we're providing the platform confidence where we have the SME that is running the platform for you. And you don't have to have an SME for that. You need to have a subject matter expert that understands what's running inside the cluster, and we work with them to make sure that we can tune things to work the best. We're providing the workload excellence, which is all about how do we make sure that the workloads that are in there are actually performing at the best level that they can possibly perform, and we're providing constant feedback, not only with reactive feedback where you may have tickets that you say, hey, I have this issue and needs to be solved, but also proactively building automation to be able to solve problems before they happen. And the idea here is for us to then provide a great domain outcome where your team is then focused just on what's running inside the clusters so you can squeeze the most value out of your business needs and not have to figure out how do I hire all these SMEs that are going to be able to solve these problems for me. We also help with making sure you have subscription compliance. We can help you understand the infrastructure choices on where you run it. We'll manage things running anywhere, but the biggest complexity is when you need to run it in your data center and not run it in the cloud. In your data center, you have limited choices on having a complete cloud-like experience. That's what we bring to the table, is not only the cluster running and healthy, but also then how do you dynamically tune things to make sure your workloads are performing. Scope custom build of the platform. So we'll come in and help you understand with either our prescriptive approach, or also we can scope very custom builds, many custom builds that we've done. And then obviously the operationalization. Everybody has different requirements around operationalizing their platform. And so we will also make sure that it is operationalized and tied into your ITSM and make sure that the platform is actually performing. We already talked about this one. And some of the things our customers see from integrating with PodOps to be able to get the most value out of their platform is reduce time to confidence by 900%. We see most organizations take 9 months from the time they get started to the time that they start to feel confident running containers. We've reduced that down to 1 month. You can be running critical workloads in your data center within a month because we're custom building it, or we have a prescriptive build, and then also we have the team is already in place running our operational models with our monitoring and proactive and reactive maintenance all built in, so you don't have to try to build all that stuff out and learn this by trial and error. It's plugged in, it starts working immediately. We actually have We actually have a banking solution that we built on this platform called Next Gen Banking Platform that also runs on OpenShift, that we have pre-built microservices to be able to integrate into third-party products and backends for banking systems, so that you don't have to go build all that integration. You plug the platform in, we install the platform, we plug those microservices in. Day one, the integration is working, so you can accelerate your modernization to containerization very quickly. It's like a year and a half worth of coding that you don't have to do. Remove risk of failure. Never had a project fail. Every single one of our implementations has worked. Remove vendor lock-in. We're building out a system for you, so you can be able to run this anywhere you want. You want to run it in your data center, you want to run it hybrid in the cloud, anywhere you want to run it, you can run it. Containers are portable, so if you move away from OpenShift and you want to move to another container solution, we're going to be able to provide you with an understanding of how to build your applications so your containers are portable. And then reduce time to stress, or reduce team stress. Because we're looking at this 24/7, 365 for you, and we're proactively handling problems, it reduces the calls that you're going to get at 3 a.m. if something goes wrong with the platform that you don't necessarily fully know. Our team is there, the one providing the support for that, as well as when you have deployments on the weekend, when you have deployments, after hours. Our team is the one that is sitting there helping with those deployments and not having to have your operations guys in there dealing with that. So the guaranteed results: knowledge, cost. So the thing is we're immediately plugging in knowledge into your organization, so you don't have to go try to figure out how to get the knowledge and how to maintain that knowledge. The biggest issue that we see with organizations over the years, especially when there is resource availability issues, is even when they take their smart guys internally and they train them and get them up to speed and they become SMEs, now you have to worry about other companies stealing them because you've already trained them. You've invested all the time and energy into training them. And then when you lose those SMEs, how do you deal with the changes at that point if you don't have somebody that's going to be able to pick up the pieces? Having an organization like Crossvale with our platform engineering services and pod ops, we're able to make sure that no matter what, you're going to have the knowledge base you need so that your workloads are performing and you don't have that risk. Cost, we're able to do this cheaper than you could possibly ever do this on your own, because we've been doing this for so long and we already have this built out. I'll go to the next slide and I'll show you a little bit about this. Just a small environment, just kind of starting out on this, 24/7 support, 12-month commitment, scale on demand. You can run it anywhere. Obviously, all the things I've talked about, the application support, dynamic platform tuning, running it hybrid if you need it. We actually have DR and backup options in there on how we could get you advanced DR and backup through Portworx. 24/7, first 48 virtual CPUs, $12.99 an hour. You want to add more CPUs, 48 virtual CPUs at a time, $1.89 an hour for each 48 more CPUs. This does not include subscriptions. And actually here, this one that says includes subscriptions, it does not in this price point. We do have a model where we do have subscriptions that we can bundle in. So you just have all the subscriptions and the solution all built into one, and so we can provide that for you as well. If you just need 8x5, so during the work week, $29.95 an hour, 8x5, so that's 40 hours a week, and then $4.49 an hour to add each 48 virtual CPUs after that, plus the subscriptions, not including subscriptions. So top 10 reasons to standardize on pod ops for OpenShift: guaranteed success. If you're looking for lowering your risk and you want to have a new platform that you know for sure is going to work, and you don't want to have to explain why you had platform failure, or you've tried this in the past, bringing in a containerization solution, you bring in pod ops, guaranteed success. No interviews for SMEs you don't know how to hire. This is a big issue for organizations. Until you gain the confidence on the platform and understand the pitfalls of it, it's really hard for you to hire people that understand it because you don't know the questions to ask. No late night deployments for your ops team. We handle that for you. Proactive maintenance reduces your downtime. We're not only proactively maintaining things inside your cluster, but we're bringing automation that we've learned in maintaining other clusters around the world. No marathon support calls with Red Hat. We handle the support calls for you. We're experts. We have support routes that we can get things expedited. Ask an expert that knows your environment. So instead of just, we have people that are assigned on your environment, that we understand the complexity of your specific environment that is tuned to your stuff, not just how an OpenShift cluster runs. Operational integration with your ITSM. We integrate into your ITSM. All tickets and everything goes through your ITSM, so you can track this the way you would normally track any type of support that you would be doing internally anyway. Mentoring mentoring is more cost effective than training. By us being inside your organization and working on this with your team, we mentor them into understanding how to make dynamic decisions for your platform, not generic decisions for a platform. Our team learns from other environments. So as there are changes that happen in OpenShift and Kubernetes, there's learnings that happen, and then those learnings can roll across all of the environments that we're working with our customers on. So you don't have to wait to learn. We bring those to you and say, we've seen these issues. This is how we're going to help solve them before you actually have that complexity happen in your environment. We do it cheaper and with better outcomes than you could do it DIY. This has been proven over and over. Like our capabilities of being able to do this at the cost that we can do this far exceeds the capabilities of people being able to hire their own team. If you think about a 48 virtual CPU environment, this is a non-prod prod cluster running 3 worker nodes in each cluster. I'm doing it cheaper than you can hire 1 engineer. So if you have a need for moving COTS solutions into on-prem or cloud OpenShift, or you have an application team that it needs to understand how to containerize and you need help running those environments, Hot Ops is the way to go with Crossvale. We look forward to talking to you in the future. If there's any questions, let me see. Do we have any questions in the chat? Does not look like we have questions in the chat. So thank you everybody for coming out. Appreciate your time. Please reach out. You can go to crossvale.com and just go to contact. And we can ask any questions that you have at that point.